Premier Tim Houston shook up his cabinet, and what most people have been paying attention to is that he made himself energy minister.
More good paying jobs, greater energy security. Let's make it happen.
And we'll get to that. We'll talk about the reasons he did it and what it signals about the direction Nova Scotia is heading. But first, let's start with the latest news, which is that Becky Druhan, former cabinet minister, has stepped away from the PC caucus and is sitting as an independent.
Yeah, Druhan was one of 3 cabinet ministers who lost their portfolio last week in that shuffle you mentioned. The other 2 were former energy minister Trevor Boudreau and former natural resources minister Tory Rushton. Druhan, in an interview on Monday, told us that she was offered another portfolio, but she declined, and she's not gone into great details about her motivation, other than to say there was a difference in principles between her views and the views of leadership. Now, she's not saying if leadership is a euphemism for Premier Tim Houston, or if it's a euphemism for his inner circle, or all of the above. But the point is that when MLAs come back here sometime in the new year, Druhan will now be sitting as an independent MLA, no longer a member of the PC caucus.
Now, when it comes to Tory Rushton, he hasn't made such a dramatic move. He's still in the PC caucus, now sitting as a backbencher. It's not entirely clear why he was booted from caucus. He's been a very competent cabinet minister since this government came into power in 2021. Same with Trevor Boudreau. He wasn't a cabinet minister consistently since the PCs came into power, but he has been in cabinet off and on, and there's no clear reason why he would have been taken out of cabinet entirely. However, it is clear that Houston wanted the energy portfolio for himself.
Well, and that may be what resulted in Trevor Boudreau being on the outside looking in. The Premier, in a lot of ways, has been handling the energy file for months as it is. He's been a big proponent of offshore wind development. More recently, he's talking quite a bit about offshore petroleum development. He's talked about onshore petroleum development. He's talked about mining for critical minerals. But there's another thing at play here, and it's that the province is facing some major financial challenges. And so in that regard, perhaps it makes sense to have the Premier as chief salesperson on this.
On the other hand, what we've heard from the opposition in particular is that it's not great to have the Premier in charge of this very important portfolio because it consolidates power within his office. Also, there's good reason that a Premier appoints cabinet ministers to handle the details of a portfolio. He has a sight on the whole picture, the big picture of where he wants his government to go. Houston is now going to have to become more well-versed in the details of that energy file and not just the big picture of what he wants Nova Scotia to do with its energy resources.
Much like the way he spent time both in opposition and once they first formed government, selling the public on a vision to fix healthcare, making the point that he needs time to make that happen. I think we're going to see the same thing with natural resources.
Now, our Prime Minister wants Canada to be an energy superpower, and I do too.
The economic boom that came as a result of population growth has dried up mostly. Natural resources is the best new opportunity to fill that gap, but it's going to take a long time, and the Premier is going to need to find a way to convince the public to be patient while he tries to get that file moving along.